You will never be confident or comfortable in your own skin until you understand this. Right now, you are wearing a mask. Behind that mask is who you really are, and it's who you've always been. But other people in your life, they're not seeing that. They're only seeing the mask that you show them. And maybe you've spent a lot of time in your life polishing the mask, refining it, having adjustments made to it, making it look presentable to other people. And maybe this has worked to some degree. Other people might occasionally approve of the mask that you're wearing. But in you, maybe there's an anxiety, maybe there's a fear that one day you might get caught without the mask. Or maybe someone will see behind it for a moment. And you wonder, what will happen then? Will they reject me? Will the people around me still like me? Will I be alone? Will they abandon me? Will I be embarrassed? And that anxiety of what happens, what might happen without the mask, that's why you don't feel confident. That's why you can't be yourself. And the worst part about this is it's lonely, isn't it? Because when people like the mask, you know, don't you? You know. They don't like you, not who you really are. So you never feel seen. You never feel truly connected with anyone. And maybe, mate, maybe you've been wearing this mask for so long that you've started to forget who you really are underneath it. Maybe you've started to think that the mask is who you are. Now you just have this strange feeling that something's wrong, that this isn't you, and this is not your life. And maybe, mate, you're right. There might even be this quiet fear that if you don't learn who you really are under the mask, you might even end up being buried in it. But here's the thing, mate. This mask, it didn't come from nowhere, and there's a reason that you're wearing it. And once I started to realize what my mask looked like, why I was wearing it in the first place, and how to take it off, that's when my life started to really change. So I want to show you, mate. I want to show you how you can remember who you are under the mask, and how you can finally take it off so that you can start living confidently as the incredible man that you really are and that you've always been. And the only reason I can talk to you about this today, mate, is because I used to wear that mask. I've worn a lot of masks in my life, but the stickiest mask I've ever worn is the mask of the nice guy, the people pleaser, the harmless man who wouldn't hurt a fly. I smiled constantly. No matter how I was feeling, I was smiling all the time. Not an authentic smile, a fake one. That's why I've got these crow's feet, wrinkles at the sides of my eyes. It wasn't joy. It was a fake smile I wore all the time. If someone said something I didn't like, if I was offended by something, or if someone shared an opinion I didn't agree with that triggered something in me, I wouldn't say anything. I'd just go quiet and smile again, because I didn't want to provoke a reaction from them. I didn't want to rock the boat. I said yes when I really felt no. I allowed everybody to vent their problems to me as if I was some emotional punching bag, even if I was exhausted, and even though nobody ever offered to do the same for me. On the surface, to everybody else, I seemed like this happy-go-lucky man who was at peace with himself, the life and soul of the party, never upset, never sad, never felt anything other than just being permanently happy. But inside, I was suffocating. I was burying my anger, which turned into resentment. I was suppressing my own needs and desires. I was silencing my own voice. I never said what I really meant. And I was terrified, mate. I was really terrified. I had the worst social anxiety on the planet, I swear. And that was because I was scared that people would see behind this facade, this persona, this mask I was wearing. And that mask was tightening. I could feel it. Almost every day it got tighter and tighter and tighter. That was until one day the mask cracked. My girlfriend at the time, of 5 years, pulled me into the kitchen. I was at her apartment at university. She sat me down and she said, "Oliver, I have to let you go." I didn't want to accept it, but I knew what she meant. It broke me because I thought that mask that I was making nice for everybody, I thought that would make my life smooth and problem-free. I thought that mask is what everyone wanted from me. But she left me for another man. I was heartbroken, devastated. But what happened next changed everything, because that breakdown led to the biggest breakthrough of my adult life. Not long after that, I was sat in my therapist's office when something clicked. I realized that this mask I was wearing wasn't born in adulthood. I'd been wearing this mask since I was 8 years old. Before I put the mask on, I was this mischievous little boy, full of energy, quite adorable, full of life, full of awe, wonder. I like to play, I like to grapple, I like to play fight with people. I like to push boundaries. I was a little bit of a rebel even. And I didn't realize it was a problem until one day the reputation as a little mischievous boy would come back to haunt me. In school, a group of boys vandalized the boys' bathroom, did quite a bit of damage. And collectively, they decided to pin it on me. With no proof or evidence, they told everyone in the school that it was Oliver. Oliver did that. And to my horror, the whole school believed them. But I thought at the time, maybe the teachers will understand that I didn't do it. Maybe I can go to the grown-ups and maybe they will understand. So that's what I did. But they didn't believe me either. In fact, the teachers and the headmistress, they made their minds up. They didn't really care, I don't think, about who really did it. They just wanted someone to pin it on. It wasn't about the truth, it was about getting a confession out of me. I was dragged, little 8-year-old Ollie, into the headmistress's office. Her name was Mrs. Fields, and she was one of the scariest people, one of the scariest grown-ups I'd ever met at the time. In the office, with the door locked, I was cowering in the corner while she was screaming with rage. I knew in that moment that this adult, this person had lost control of herself. With her eyes, I still get the picture of her eyes right now, filled with rage. Her face was going red. I felt specks of spit from her mouth as she was screaming at me in the corner. Screaming at me, "You're the one who's letting your family down. You're the one who's letting your school down. You're the one who's letting yourself down. You are a grotty little child." I felt the warmth of her breath. That's how close she was. I started to shake uncontrollably with fear. The ground felt unstable. I felt like I was going to pass out. I couldn't breathe. I felt like my heart was going to explode. And it was at that moment where I had my first panic attack. And in that moment, something shifted. It was the first time I started to believe that who I really was broken. That boy I was, that playful, rebellious, mischievous boy, died. And in his place was born the anxious, people-pleasing good boy. So let me ask you something right now. What messages did you get when you were a boy that may have told you that who you really are is broken, defective, wrong, bad, not okay. That could be the moment where your mask was born. Realizing this for myself, it broke me. It broke me. In that therapist's office, I started crying a river of tears for that boy. Pure compassion towards him. How scared must he have been? How broken he really felt. In that therapist's office was one of the lowest points of my life. But it's as the poet Rumi once said, the wound is where the light enters you. We can't heal what we can't see. And realizing where my mask was born was the first step. But I had a craving. I'd outgrown the mask. My true self behind the mask had gotten too big for it. The mask didn't fit anymore, but I didn't know how to take it off. So that was the next step for me. In my day-to-day life, I started to notice all the ways that I was masked. All the times when I said yes when I meant no. All the times when I let a boundary go. All the times when I avoided speaking my mind. I started recognizing how the mask was showing up, and I made a commitment to myself to start my process of unmasking. And I started to show up more authentically, bit by bit. Now, let me tell you, mate, this was terrifying. That little boy in the office was terrified. But here is where everything started to change. Because instead of abandon that boy and turn away from him, I actually started turning towards him. Whenever the fear or the guilt or the anxiety came up, I found myself a quiet place. I placed my hand on my chest, and I would tell him all the things that he needed to hear in that moment in that office. You're safe. I've got you. I'm not going to let anything bad happen to you. I invite you to try that next time you feel anxiety, fear, guilt around being authentic. And for me, it felt strange at first. It felt alien. It felt woo-woo. But I stuck with it. And in the same way that water shapes rock, that one little habit started to completely, I mean this, mate, completely change how I see myself and how I show up in the world. That little boy in my mind started to truly believe for the first time that he was safe. I told him, you're not broken. You never were broken. There was never anything wrong with you. It wasn't your fault. And I also told him that Mrs. Fields, she's just a big stupid idiot. And the little boy in me really loved hearing that. And as that boy in me softened and felt safe, the mask loosened. I could take it off. And for the first time in my life, I finally started to feel a freedom that I had never experienced before. I was raw, I was authentic, I was a little bit polarizing, I suddenly wasn't everyone's cup of tea, and I was even a little bit mischievous. So here's the truth I want to leave you with, mate. You don't need more confidence, you don't need to polish the mask anymore with strategies. You just need to release the shame you've been carrying. The incredible man you really are and have always been is buried right now. Not under weakness, you're not weak, mate. It's buried under fear, decades old fear. That scared little boy who's still carrying the fear, when you turn towards him and meet him with love, that's the moment that you start to become unstoppable. That is when confidence stops being some act that you put on, something you do, and starts being something you are. If this video spoke to you, I want you to do two things. One, I want you to drop a comment down below and let me and the other men on this channel know what's one thing that you are hiding behind the mask. And the second thing I want you to do, mate, is to check the link down below, because if you're ready to start your process of unmasking and start showing the world who you really are, then I would truly love to support you in that journey. And to that little boy, I want to say this. You, mate, are not broken, and you never were. Until next time, brother, stay courageous.